Hey, what is up, everybody? Today I will be talking a lot about just kind of like how quarantine's been going and things that have been happening in the market for baseball cards. School is pretty difficult. Doing homework when you're at home and you don't have like class to go to or anything is extremely hard. Like, I didn't start doing any homework until Wednesday, which is yesterday because it's Thursday now. And that means that I didn't do any work for 6 classes until that night. So obviously I'm a little behind, but the amount of classwork that I have right now is a lot less compared to what it would be when we were actually on campus. So that's kind of nice. They're kind of giving us a little bit of a break in some classes. So I think we're going to just kind of talk more about like the stock market and stuff and the card market, how that kind of goes together. So if any of you guys watch Gary Vee, you've probably seen him talk about, obviously, if a stock market crash or a market crash happens or the economy takes a dump, that card values will follow, and the card value or the card market in general, people won't buy as much and the prices will go down a lot. So looking at the card values, I haven't noticed a big change, but I'll talk a little bit more here in a minute. Obviously, we saw the stock market take a huge hit, and since Trump's been in office, it's basically erased all of that economic improvement. But it stopped, and now we've started going back up again. So I'm hoping this will keep up. But the thing is, if we are stuck in lockdown for an extended period of time, many people aren't working. I think it's over 3 million people, I think, have filed for unemployment in the past, like 2 days or 3 days. So I think those are record numbers. So obviously, this is a problem, a big problem at that. And obviously, with no slowing of the virus right now, nobody really knows when we're going to actually be done with this quarantine and when things will slow down and we can go back to normal life. So obviously, we're having a lot of people who aren't getting paid, and if they are getting paid, they're not getting paid very much, and they're getting like a one-time payment of $1,200 from the government, which obviously isn't nearly enough if you're in quarantine for an extended period of time. So I think people are just going to kind of have to figure out what they're going to do to stay afloat, because obviously the more wealthy people, they'll be better off, and people who can keep their jobs will be better off, especially the essential workers like people who work at grocery stores or mechanics in healthcare, things like that. So those people will be fine. Obviously, they run a high risk of getting sick because they're still working right now, which could also create more problems, but that's another thing that we're not going to get into. So, obviously, with the stock market dropping, I'll start with kind of like I guess it's a direct comparison to how the stock market works. The card market is basically the same thing. So, obviously, we see the stock market is falling, and then it came back up. But obviously, with this extended period of time where people aren't working and they're stuck inside at their homes and people are laid off, losing jobs, the market's likely going to crash. Like, I've already kind of just accepted that that's going to happen. So the biggest thing here is that obviously, if a market crash happens for the stock market, all these values are going to decrease. People are going to try to sell their shares, and they're going to just try to get out. So that's when the smart investors are going to start buying in when these hit really low points, when you can buy the stocks for really cheap. So you do basically the same thing with baseball cards. So one thing that I've noticed is the cards haven't decreased nearly as much as I would have expected. Like the Keston Hiura PSA 10s, one just sold on the 24th, which was Tuesday, for $140. So that card is, for some reason, it's still increasing, which I'm absolutely fine with. You guys will see what I've done for grading and things in the upcoming video. The Lucas are still selling for over $400 graded PSA 10s, and the LeBrons are still up 5-6 grand. So obviously the cards haven't really been affected yet, but when the market does crash, or if it does crash, even though I think it likely will, these cards are all going to lose their value and they're going to be worth a lot less than what they were before the market crash. So that's when you're going to want to stock up, because you're going to see that you can buy all these really cheap. you're going to want to buy them in bulk, get as many as you can, and then after we're done with this crash and we're on the up and up again with the stock market and people start getting money, they get jobs again, unemployment rate starts going down, that's when the card market's going to get hot again, especially because cards are hotter now than what they have been in 10, 20 years. So the likelihood of this catching up and these cards getting back to their prices before the crash, I don't think it will take nearly as long as it did for them to get to the point they're at now. So stock up while you can. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm actually selling a couple cards right now. The two PSA 10 Bowman Chromes and then also the PSA 9 Bowman's Best Rookie Auto of Hira because I want to have some extra cash to buy more cards. Because obviously, if I can get these Hiras even cheaper than what they are now, it'll benefit me because these cards are going for like, some people are buying these cards for like $8, $10 a card, which is a lot higher. Like when I bought my Hiras, they were like $2 or $3 a card, so I bought at the right time, but there's going to be another right time after the market crashes. So some of the main people, like I've seen a lot of videos on like who you want to invest in and who you should invest in, and the approach that I kind of take is I understand what Gary Vee talks about. It makes sense because obviously you want to invest in the superstars. So you want to invest in like Luka's, Mike Trout's, LeBron's, Michael Jordan, because those guys are going to go up over time. Obviously, as time goes on, there's going to be less and less cards in existence of that certain card because you're going to have cards that get messed up or they get lost. So like over time, they're going to keep decreasing in number, but the value is going to keep going up, supply and demand. And obviously, you can see that with how many new people are coming in and collecting cards, the Lukas and the LeBrons and all these superstars, the card values are skyrocketing. Like Lukas were up to, I think it was like $700, $600 at some point for some of the rookie cards that are graded PSA 10s, which is insane because he's still really young, so there's still a lot of room for improvement. Well, I don't know if there's a lot of room for improvement. The dude is unreal. But there's a lot of, his card has a lot of room to grow price-wise. So what I'm going to be trying to do is I'm going to try to stock up on more Hiras because that's going to be my quick money because if he has a good year next year, I can sell off all these PSA 9s, 10s, and make a really fast come up because of selling them quickly and not having to hold on to them for so long. But when you look at these superstars, they're more like long-term investments, like I said, because over time they're going to keep increasing. Keston Hiura, he can hit, but he struggles defensively, and that is shown all throughout his career. Even with the Brewers, he made a decent amount of errors, especially for the amount of time that he was in the majors. So I don't expect him to be a superstar, but what I'll do is I will hold his card, make sure it keeps increasing in value, and then after I see it hits a climax and it starts slowly coming down, as long as I see that there's not another outside effect, like let's say the stock market starts struggling again, obviously the card value should be going down with the stock market. So if I see that those two are moving in the same direction, they're both decreasing, then I'm just gonna say like, hey, this isn't his card directly losing value. It's another outside, I can't think of the word. It's another thing affecting it. It's an outside factor that is affecting it. So obviously that's not foolproof, that I can mess that up, but I'm better off seeing it keep increasing and then see that that his card is actually decreasing because of his performance or the desire of the card is not there because he's not playing as well or he's not what everybody else thinks he will be. Then that's when I want to sell, because I don't want to sell when I can make like $100 profit when it could go up to $400 profit. So you never want to sell too early, but you also don't want to sell too late to the point where the card isn't worth anything anymore. But the thing is with the superstars, the generational talents like Luka, LeBron, Trout, you hold on to these cards for extended periods of time. You look at LeBron and Trout, they've shown consistent numbers year in, year out. They're both the best in the sports that they play, the best ever in each sport. So like the likelihood of that card going down is not very high. It's going to keep going up forever. it's going to trend upward forever because obviously there's going to be ups and downs due to the stock market and other things like that. But if you want to invest, you need to have your short term. It's kind of like in a portfolio where you want to diversify everything. So you have your short term investments that are high risk, like my Hiras, which obviously I don't think they're high risk because it's a lot easier to see somebody's performances on a baseball field or a basketball court than I think it is to guess how a market is going to work for like Walmart or something. So obviously I think it's a better investment, but I have my short term, which is Hira, and I plan on buying into the long term, which I'll probably start with Luca because he's got a lot of room for his card to increase. Like obviously, if I want to buy a Trout, even if the market crashes, I'm probably gonna have to pay $1,000 or $1,500 for one card. Which down the line, yeah, I want to do that because the card's it's gonna keep increasing over time. But the thing is, like, do I really want to spend $1,500 right now as a 20-year-old? Probably not. So you just kind of got to think about who you think is going to be a superstar, who already is a superstar, because obviously you're going to spend more on a card, but the likelihood of that card increasing in price over time is a lot higher. So you can buy these cheap cards, put a lot of money into them and be high risk, or you can just buy like 10 rookie cards of a random guy you think might blow up. And those 10 rookie cards, if this guy blows up, well, you're going to make a big profit, which it's high risk, but you didn't pay that much for the cards, so it really isn't high risk. You just kind of got to figure out what you want to do. There's really no, like, I can't tell you who to invest in because I don't know how these cards are going to change, who's going to play well. It just kind of, you have to watch sports. You have to pay attention. You have to see what's going on and know, like, oh, this guy's going to be good. I want to invest in him. Um, so yeah, that's basically all I'm going to do. If this market crashes over the summer, I'll just work a low-level job, make some decent money over the summer, and then I'm going to invest probably it'll be at least a quarter to a half of what I make over the summer will be invested into cards, especially if everything is cheap because of the market crash. I've already like the amount of heroes I have a very large margin per card even. So I'm just kind of waiting to see when the right time to sell those will be, but I'm trying to get them slowly graded, but you guys will see that video coming up on what I plan on doing for grading, how many I'm sending in and things like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't think I really have anything else to talk about. I just kind of wanted to talk about like the stock market, how it affects cards and how cards go up and down in value. So I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I will see you later.